showing up for your purpose, for your mission, for your vision, it's not always gonna be easy. But that doesn't mean that you should not do it, right? Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Because on the way of becoming who you truly came here to be, on the way of becoming who you truly meant to be, you will be faced with a lot of your own shadows. Not even to mention the shadows of the other people around you, your family, your friends, and the collective. Because in a sense, you are doing something that has never been done before. And I am quite sure that if you're watching this video, if you're on my channel, that you are the person, you are the black sheep perhaps of your family. You are the one who came here to kind of get out of these generational curses, of this generational trauma, and you are the first ever to actually face yourself and to face your shadow and to actually address them. And that is not a simple task, right? Because many of us are going through these things and we don't even know what's happening, why it's happening, how it's happening, and we go through so many dark nights of the soul, and we are dealing with so many things internally. On the external, it looks like perhaps we have things together, or we know what we are doing, or all of this kind of stuff, but on the inside we are dealing with all of these things. We are doing the shadow work, we are doing the inner work, we are healing the inner child, we are going through all of these things. And on the outside, it looks like, from the point of view of the society, it looks like, why are you not actually doing the things that everyone is telling you to do? And this is actually why, because we didn't come here to obey to these rules, to this nonsensical order that didn't even make sense to us. We came here to actually break that through, to break apart from it, and to find a way that aligns with our inner soul, our inner being, and to help others to actually understand that this is what we came here for, and that you are not alone on that, okay? So I want you to realize that if you're now going through a really dark period, you don't know what to do, how to do it, how to progress, how to live your life in a way, because nothing really makes sense, because everything is falling apart. I want you to remain there and to remind yourself that you are incredibly, incredibly strong. And you are going through that because you have been chosen to do that, okay? And there is this saying that really resonates with me, that you would not go through anything, that the universe wouldn't put you through anything that it wouldn't know that you can handle. So just because just knowing that you are going through it, that means that you are capable and able to navigate through that, and you are able to get through the other side and actually on the way become who you were always meant to be, who you were always supposed to be. That's the whole point. We came here to challenge the narratives. We came here to change the order. We came here to do things our own way. And I don't want you to lose hope, because sometimes, some days, it's really difficult. And especially if you are feeling very down, if you're feeling that everything you are doing is not working, anything and everything you are trying is not working out, and you don't see any results right now in your current reality, I want you to dial down and double down actually on your efforts. And I want you to remain rooted in the trust and in the belief that it is happening, okay? Because it is happening. There is no way that it wouldn't happen unless you decide to stop. But as long as you decide to go on, to keep going, to keep trying, to show up, even in the moments when it's really, really hard, and especially in those moments when it's really hard, when everything is going against you, when nothing is working out, when everything feels too hard, too much. That's the most powerful point and the most powerful angle actually of you showing up. Because everything, your body, everything around you is telling you, don't do that. And when you show up, regardless, when you show up in those moments of that really big resistance, that's how you prove to yourself that you can do that, and you will do that again, and you will do that again. And no matter what is happening on the outside, you can do that, right? And this is also about feeling safe in your body, feeling safe in your environment. And that takes time. And I was talking in some other videos about that, how you bring your body back to safety. But also keep in mind that if your body is wired for feeling unsafe, if your body is wired for remaining into comfort zone, then no matter how safe you make yourself feel, you will still have to go against your body's wiring in order to show up in ways that you haven't showed up before. Okay? So this is a tricky situation between bringing your body back to safety and actually leaving the comfort zone, because you have to leave the comfort zone in order to get something, to get somewhere, to do something you had never done before, right? So this has nothing to do with the nervous system regulation, because while your nervous system needs to be regulated and should be primed for expansion, sometimes you will go, beyond that. And that's something new, and that's something unfamiliar. So what do I always repeat? Everything will feel unfamiliar until you make it familiar. How do you make it familiar? By repeating that, by doing that over and over and over again, until your body and until your subconscious mind, one day it clicks and you will realize, okay, this is not actually going to kill me. This is not actually trying to harm me, because this is what the subconscious mind and the nervous system is trying to do naturally, right? It's trying to protect us. It's trying to keep us safe. It's trying to keep us away from the danger. But from the very young age of our life, we have been wired for being afraid of many things that don't actually need and should be afraid of, right? For example, public speaking, for example, showing up ourselves, for example, being visible, for example, being seen. All of these things we have naturally in our body, in our nervous system, in our subconscious mind, wired as danger unless we work on them and rewire those beliefs. Then it will feel very unsafe, okay? So you need to make the unsafe safe. So you show up for it. And that's why I'm mentioning to show up in the moments when you don't feel like it, because that's really going to prove to yourself and to your body and to your subconscious mind that you can do that, and actually nothing bad happens, that you can actually show up for it, and you prove it to yourself, right? You prove it to yourself over and over again until it becomes familiar. So don't be afraid if you're right now feeling very down, or you're going through a rock bottom, or you don't know how to get yourself out of it. The fastest and the most profound way of getting out of it is going through it, right? And it's actually the only way to go forward. It's going through it. So buckle yourself up and get yourself ready to go through it, because you know on the other side something amazing is waiting for you. And why would you remain in the misery if you know that if you get through it, even though it's muddy, even though it's hard, even though it's difficult, on the other side is something much better for you? And you can do that. I promise you, you can do that, because otherwise you would not go through it, right? So I want to share some examples from when that happened to me. For example, one example, I didn't feel like recording video today. Everything was going kind of against me. Things were not set up for me. I had to go out of my way to kind of record this video, to kind of show up here. But yet I didn't want to do that. But still, at some point, in myself, I knew that I had to do it. I knew that I have to do it, because this is what I want to do. This is how I want my life to be. So why would I not show up for something that I want to do? Even though my body was saying no, even though my mind was saying no, it was coming up with all kinds of excuses. Don't do that, not today, do it later, do it tomorrow. And I want you to remind you that our mind will always find excuses not to do something, and especially if it's important for you, and if you really, really want to do something, it will find excuses not to do it, because it knows that there is this danger. There is something that you have to do that you are going against, and against your comfort zone. So anything that makes you feel like you are going against your comfort zone, your mind will tell you don't do that. It is a natural response. until you rewire your mind. And even if you rewire it, if you are reaching for the next level, for something that is unfamiliar to you, again, it will tell you, don't do that, remain here, this is safe, this is where we are safe. So I want you to think about your life and where you are right now, not showing up for what you know you're supposed to show up, but your body, your mind is telling you, no, this is not safe, this is not, let's not do that, finding excuses. Because this is where you will find your power, this is where you will accelerate your life, this is where you will get to the next level. When you start facing the things that your mind is telling you, no, let's not do that. When you do that, regardless of what your mind is saying, what your body is saying, this is how we level up. And just remember that everything will feel unfamiliar until you make it familiar. Every single thing in life. So it's the same. I want you to remember when you first start some job and you were so stressed, you didn't know actually what you were doing, right? You didn't know what to expect. You didn't know how your colleagues were going to be. You didn't know how the process is going to be. And then after a few weeks, few months, you catch up on it and you were like, okay, this is just a normal routine. This is just something natural that I do. This is just something that I do naturally. And how did you do that? Because you were constantly putting yourself, immersing in a situation where you didn't know how it's going to be, and then you figure it out. So that's how it's going to be with everything in your life and anything in your life. You have to immerse yourself in a situation without knowing what to exactly expect, because we don't really know what we are doing until we are doing it, right? This is kind of the irony of this life, of this experience. We don't know what it actually is until we are going through it. So that's how we actually learn as human beings. We have to go through things in order to learn them, to understand them, to grow from them. I would like you to try this and put yourself in a situation where you don't feel very comfortable or familiar this week, and you do it regardless, and then you prove to yourself that it is not actually that bad, that you didn't die from it, or nothing really bad happened. For example, if you've never been eating out by yourself in a public. And I know that for me it was somehow really, intimidating before I started traveling, and I could never imagine myself just to go in a restaurant and order by myself and eat the meal by myself. And then when I moved to different countries and I was by myself, I didn't know anyone, and sometimes I didn't have people to hang out, many times actually. And I just did that because I didn't have any other option. And I went to the restaurant, I ordered the food, I enjoyed the meal, and I realized that no one actually cares. No one was even paying attention to me. No one was even, overthinking as I was overthinking in my head, like, oh my God, it's going to be so awkward. I'm going to be feeling so weird. Everyone will be questioning why I'm eating by myself, why I'm there alone, what's going to happen. And I know this is very familiar feeling for people who have kind of social anxiety, that they go through this process with many things. And let me tell you that no one actually cares. No one did care about me having my meal. No one even paid attention to me except the waitress, So that's the thing, like we are overcomplicated in our head so much, like what people are going to think, how they are going to react, what they are going to think of us, how they're going to, perceive us, and all of this internal nonsense that doesn't actually make sense, because at the end of the day, people don't even pay that much attention. Okay, everyone is thinking of their own problems, of their own drama, of their own issues that they are going through, so many things, and we are having these thoughts that everyone is thinking about us, what we are doing or not doing. Like honestly, it is not that deep. It is not that deep, and people really don't pay so much attention. And even if they do, maybe they will have a strange look if you are doing something really weird for them, or they decide that it is weird. And then the next minute they will forget about it completely, and you will never see them again, and they will never see you again, So it's really not that deep. And I think this is why it's important to go against our fears, to go against our comfort zone, to go against our own cages that we build up for us, and we kept ourselves in them for no particular reason, because no one really cares, and we care so much about stuff that doesn't even matter. And if we could go against this fear, if we could go against these irrational fears that we have, and do it regardless. That's how we prove to ourselves that nothing actually happens, nothing bad actually happens, and the world doesn't stop spinning, and we don't stop, living, and people don't stop in their tracks to look at what you are doing. And even if they do, who cares? So that's what I wanted to talk about, to not be so controlled by our own fears that are oftentimes so very irrational, and to start proving to yourself little by little. Take little fear, little something that's uncomfortable, prove to yourself that you can do that. Prove to yourself that nothing's going to happen. And then take the next one, and takes the bigger one, and then it takes the bigger one. That's how you're going to actually achieve things that you previously thought would never be possible, right? That's how you're going to evolve. That's how you're going to progress. That's how you're going to put yourself out there. That's how you're going to be seen and visible, and prove to yourself that actually you can do that. Okay, step by step, little action every day is going to take you a long way.